All right, y'all. I am still up here in Blue Ridge, Georgia, in the mountains, of Blue Ridge, Georgia. And rain's getting a little heavier. Hopefully, the microphone's doing its job in noise cancellation. I wanted to remind everybody that real estate investing is certainly a marathon and not a sprint. Stick to your investing criteria. Keep making offers regardless of what the ask is. Make offers based off of your criteria and what's going to work for you. There's a lot of there's not a lot. There's a property in all the social media news feeds here recently is a 229 portfolio in Texas. Of course, something with that big of a number, it's going to get a lot of attention on social media. Where Arbor Realty is foreclosing on it, and it's funny. I For a couple of years now, I've because we invest in multifamily. We've been LP, GP, and for the last couple of years, it's been extremely hard to find a property that hit our criteria. And I struggle when operators try to sell me on a 6% cash on cash return. I struggle with that. I really do. Um, that's tight. That is tight. Now, typically, they're promising a bigger. Typically, what I've seen is the lower the cash on cash return, the higher the equity multiple, right? Which is all pro forma. Is as long as they can hit their thing, hit their stride and do their work their plan, and their numbers are correct and they're not fibbing on those whatsoever. But I think what we're about to see is more of what just happened with that portfolio in Texas. And unfortunately, those folks who joined as an LP, that money's gone for them. And I hope to never be in that position for any of my partners or investors ever. And I don't think we will. We just write so conservatively, and we only participate in about 1.5 deals a year, right? I went back and I started adding up how many transactions that we were investing in, and since we started, and it's a 1.2 if you can do 1.2 deals a year. So I want to let's use that as an example of make sure you're being patient. This is a marathon; it's not a sprint. And make sure that you're investing in properties that hit your criteria. But not only that if you're getting involved in the syndication, that the operators, right? That and trust those operators. Trust but verify, right? I don't know. Maybe I'm not there yet. Maybe I'll never be there. But I cringe when I see all the advertisements on social media for folks trying to raise money for their class A offerings or whatever it is, and I'm like, I struggle with that. So it just seems kind of creepy. I gotta know. I've got a webinar I presented at a webinar. I have a presentation that I made as part of what we did at W2 CapCon earlier this year on how to find the right partners. I've got a lot of good feedback from that, so maybe I'll turn that into a webinar that you guys can consume. So make sure you text me if you want to know more about that. Text me. It's at 205-249-0248. Just let me know you're listening to the podcast and you want to see the webinar where I talk about how to find the right partners, because I've been in some doozies and been in some really solid ones, really solid ones. So, but I was having this conversation with the newbie investor, right? He's closed a couple of transactions now, and he just had an event at one of his properties that he was just super stoked about, right? If you're an experienced investor, think back when you closed your first deal, maybe two, and you really got addicted and you started, that bug just kind of bit you and you just couldn't wait to do more and more and more. And he's looking all over the place. Like, do I focus on short-term rental? Do I start raising money for a multifamily? What I do. I've got a young family. I've got a full-time job, and he's all over the place. And I just said, listen, I said, I'm going to remind you, this is a marathon, not a sprint. And there are a lot of people who have been sprinting on social media, claiming, or boasting about how much assets they have under management or how many doors they have in their portfolio. I get frustrated with that. I'm going to go off one day on one of these talking about how I'm frustrated with social media. I don't know. Maybe I'll do it right now. I get so frustrated with the crap I see on there. There was a book I saw on Amazon the other day. It was clothes, and it's all marketing efforts for you to get to buy their product. And I'm just here to tell you, most of it is shit. Most of it is crap. The book I saw was named, and I know in this industry it is so taboo to talk negative about anybody in the space or anything in the space. I'm probably gonna, I don't know. I don't care. I'm so frustrated, and I see right through it. There was a guy. I don't even remember his name. It was like Finance Cowboy or Cowboy something like that. His persona was he wore a cowboy hat, and sign up for my class, sign up for this. And his ad kept talking about he had $240,000 a month in cash flow or something like that. And he gave the number of properties. I was like, he's talking about gross revenue. Gross revenue is not cash flow. There's a huge difference. And if you don't know that, either if you don't know the difference, you shouldn't be teaching a class. B, if you know the difference, you shouldn't be lying to people. It's very deceitful to be lying to people. Sorry, I hit the table here about that. And that's all over the place. I had a guy yesterday, Nathan, reached out from an email. He said, hey, I'm part of this group. I see what you're doing. I'd love to have you on my podcast. And I was like, I don't know, man. So I started looking out, kind of doing a little, what do you call it? Stalking. I don't know, stalking. It wasn't a whole lot of time to figure this out, but I went to his Instagram, and he had 90,000 followers. And I'm like, why would a guy with 90,000 followers want to talk to me? And so I started clicking around, and also expected a guy with that many followers to have a little bit better of an email. But anyway, I started looking around and looking at his post and all of his stuff, and he's getting maybe 1 or 2 likes per post or per reel. And I'm sitting there thinking, 90,000 followers, and you're getting 2 likes per stuff you're putting out. And so I responded to him. I said, look, man, I said, unless you can prove me wrong, I'm going to deny their request to be on your podcast, because it appears that you have purchased your followers on Instagram, and I want to surround myself with people who are more ethical than that. I'll let you know if I hear from them. I don't think I will, but there's, I don't think I gave you the name of the book or title of the book. It was something like, buy your first burr in 30 days. Buy your first burr in 30 days. Well, if you're a newbie investor, that's going to grab your attention. It's crap. It's not going to be 30 days. It might be 60, it might be 90, it might be even longer. It's not going to be 30 days. So the fact that person put a book together that's lying to you on the cover because they want you to buy the book, I don't know. I hate it. I hate it for our industry. I've thought about talking about a couple episodes ago. I talked about leveling up B&B by leaving more critical reviews than probably the normal person. I'm thinking about leveling up our industry by calling out people who are just throwing out shit, just throwing out crap, right? There was another message I got, and I get this all the time, so it gets a little annoying. Although I've got a VA, Dre, who does an amazing job of taking over most of our social media stuff, and she shields me from most of that. But every now and then I'll get a message, and there was one here recently, and here's what happens, right? Is whoever's trying to get me to buy their service or whatnot. And this lady came across as a real estate investing marketing expert, right? 50,000 views, or 50,000 followers. I don't remember the number. I'm making these up. I do remember her talking about getting to $50,000 a month in revenue, or some bullshit number, basically, if I just did her system, right? And so she liked a couple of my posts, and here come the messages. They're kind of buttering up messages, and I never responded to any of that. But then, bam, here's a sales pitch, right? Like, number one, I don't believe what you're putting out there is accurate. It's just crap. So anyway, I responded to her and said, look, if you want me to do business with you, you got to come across more genuine. You got to, don't. Right now, you're setting yourself up as being as desperate and shallow as everybody else who's in the industry and doing what you're trying to do. You wanted to build a relationship with me, and let's see if we can do something down the road. Great, let's do that. And she asked me, how was she coming across shallow? And I said, look, I'm a capitalist. You want to talk about this? Here's the link for a consulting, 30-minute consulting, and we'll see if she books it. But yeah, I am fed up with all the crap, and social media. It's good, right? I mean, for a lot of reasons, it is good, right? A lot of you I've connected with through social media. I wish Facebook would not have taken the nosedive that it has. I really, I've said this before. That is headed to MySpace, right? It's going to be looking like that. Instagram's falling off. There's folks who I followed that just no longer do Instagram because, well, it's also part of Facebook now, but it's just falling off, right? So I am so glad we moved our community off to a private label social media. And if you want to join us there, it's very nominal. It's like $20 a month or $600 for life, and there's a couple of different payment plans in there in that range, where it's no ads. There's no ads whatsoever. No ads, no distractions. Folks who are talking about real estate and real estate investing, and that's what you get in there. We've got close to 200 members in there so far. And of those, we've got about 65 folks in the mastermind, which is kind of it's a next level thing. So if you're looking for a community, you don't have folks around you that are pushing you to do more or helping you in your real estate investing ventures, check us out. Let us know if we can help you out in any way. All right, guys, I'm gonna quit going off about social media. But this is kind of what I wanted to do for this season, just be more open and transparent with you. I do want to close and just say, look, just remind everybody that real estate investing is a marathon. It is not a get-rich-quick scheme. Be patient, stick to your criteria, because I do think as interest rates are still high and they're going to, who knows where they're going to go from here. But I do feel like there's going to be a lot of opportunity come up if you just hold, right? If you hold your position, stick to your criteria, and as frustrating as it can be, keep making offers. Now, I'm looking at myself in this mirrored here on the video camera because I need to hear that too, because I'm still my bum's a little bruised because of a seller financing opportunity we had, and maybe I'll talk about that next. But yeah, you got to keep making offers, right? Keep making offers. There's a book about that out on Amazon. Make an offer. All right, see you guys.